Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining Shop Talk Live. My name is Rick Ramirez, also known as Rick's Two Cents, along with my fellow co-hosts, Steve from Steve Makes Everything,
Howdy, y'all.
and Roger from Roger's Shop.
Howdy. Andy Bird won't be with us tonight. He's on spring break down there in Florida, chasing women with bikinis, and then trying to figure out what he's going to do with one if he catches one.
He's running around on the beach with no shirt on.
Terrible Fishing looks like became a new member. Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Mark said, I'd love to see this, but I'm also addicted to aggressively average anglers show every Wednesday. Ugh. I have to say them both. Duck
I know.
and tornadoes.
I know which one I'd choose.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to duck the incoming tornadoes. We missed those this morning.
Yeah.
So had some wild stuff come through here about 4 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I was going to ask if Andy was on. I was going to ask him about the rain potential there. There's just massive amounts of rain through the center part of the country there, right?
All right. We have a special guest with us tonight. I don't think he needs much of an introduction. I think our audience will probably already know who he is. Build Dad Build. How's it going there, brother?
What's happening?
Yeah.
Looks like he's in like Denmark or in the red light district there.
We can change those.
You're talking to the Silver Fox, so you got to be
I
careful.
prefer the beach anyways.
You go Christmas, or we can go over. We just get crazy.
Well, Nick, I don't have any of the harder stuff tonight. I just got beer. So
Modelo.
Me too. It's a school night.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I got an OnlyFans show after this, so
Gotta stretch.
So, Nick, for those who may not know who you are, do you just want to give yourself an introduction? Let us know a little bit about you, where you're from, et cetera, et cetera.
I'm the guy that burns stuff on the internet. Apparently, I'm from Houston. I just moved to Kansas City like 6 months ago. Kind of relaunching the channel and getting back to more of my roots of doing a lot more burnt wood finishes, builds and stuff like that. Less product reviews.
Nice. So,
I think we're all moving that way to less product reviews because I about got burned out on it.
Yeah, it bothers me too. But every once in a while, some tantalizing piece of hardware comes your way, and it's like, oh, I got to have that.
Yeah,
an X-Tool metal fab comes to mind.
so
I did send Rick a reference because company wanted me to do a breast pump, so I sent it to him. Thought him to take over with that one.
Oh, I get a lot of that stuff that I'm like, why did you even pick me for this? Like, this is not in my wheelhouse. This is not what I do.
Yeah,
but they still send it.
The one I get often is running shoes, and it's like you only ever see this much of me.
I would love to get running shoes. I'm a huge runner. Nobody sends me. I get a lot of stuff for which I think is weird. I know I have a couple of videos out there where I built something with my kids, but I get stuff for kids all the time, like kids apparel and stuff like that. I'm like,
yeah,
no.
One I was interested in, there was one. It was like a robotics kit for kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I did.
My kids are in their 30s. I thought, man, maybe, but
see, my kids were a little too young for it. I did a Makerzoid deal, which me playing with was really cool. They just kind of weren't quite there yet for it. You know what I mean? Like it was just they were a little too young for it, so they just kind of sat back and let Dad play with toys.
Show him, Roger.
Nobody's commented on Roger's shirt yet.
Hey, I got a bucket of beer, so I got plenty to go here.
He's not messing around.
I've had to recalibrate my camera so it can handle Roger's shirt.
This isn't. I was going to put one on that was even louder than this tonight, but wife says, "Why don't you just be a little more subdued?" So there you go, Steve.
There you go. So you want to read something?
A question. Terrible at fishing, and thanks for the membership. What regular maintenance do you do on your CNC machines? Vacuum a lot. If you have something like a Onefinity where you've got the big rods, the 2-inch rods, You can take some 3-in-1 oil on a rag every now and again and run it on there, but there's not a lot of maintenance to do on a CNC. Keep the rails clean.
Steve, just so you know, most people don't consider 2 inches big.
That's girth, man.
That's like this long.
Well,
I mean, come on.
you squeeze it down a bit. It's 2 inches. Look, you got me going already.
I got my Xbox controller moving the XYZ for zeroing on the Shipoko. Yeah, that I saw Clack doing that, and I was like, man, that sucks that we can't do it, Steve.
Did you? Oh, you don't have. You got the Elite, right?
Yeah.
You don't really need it though.
I know.
Well, actually, no. So what I did, just so you know, I went to Masso directly and bought their little hand controller.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend that.
Okay, I'll check that out.
I don't know if Onefinity sells it or not, but you can just plug it in.
Yeah, they. I just got the last from what is it? ACW CNC or whatever. That water cooled. They sent me the water cooled. They didn't send me the hose, and they sent me one half of the fittings. I was like, "Hello, how do I connect it?" It's like the quick connectors, and they're like, "Oh,
you put one end in the river and the other end in a bucket."
So they sent me. You know, before we're online, Nick, we were talking on Facebook, and he had mentioned, you know, I was actually driving home from work, and he had said, "Hey, you know, I don't miss that commute." So one of the questions we get asked a lot is that, you know, how long did your side hustle take to become your full-time hustle? So I wanted to ask you that.
So mine was a little different. I will say that. I started out on YouTube, and I was doing okay. I wasn't rolling in Mr. Beast money or anything like that. But and I kind of had like a dollar amount that I wanted to be making before I quit my day job. But I used to work as an insurance adjuster, and I hated it, but they paid me really, really well. And anytime I wanted to quit, they were like, you know, here's another 10% raise. You know, I mean, it's just nuts. I think I doubled my salary there in 4 or 5 years. But I hated my job. It was just horrible. And I started having really bad stomach issues, and I didn't know at the time what it was. But I went and saw all sorts of doctors. I had all sorts of tubes stuck in me, all sorts of CTs and X-rays and all that business. And it kind of ended with a premature for my age colonoscopy. And I just remember the guy, my GI doc, at the end of it. He kind of, well, I don't know if they're supposed to say this or not, but he's like, "You're clean as a whistle."
Did he have his hands on his shoulders when he said it?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Was he behind you?
No, he was right next to me, luckily. But he was like, there's one other thing you haven't really thought about. It just could be stress. And so, like, the stomach issues had gotten so bad that I talked it over with the wife, and you know, if we tighten her belt a little bit, I could leave my day job and just do this full time. So, I decided to quit, and I just remember the day I quit, my stomach pain went away like immediately. And I've never been in a situation where you got to make a big decision like that, where you're 100% sure you're right.
Leap of faith, so to speak.
But
Right?
the fact that, like, I immediately felt better. It was just a testament to like how much I did not like my job and how I wanted to be in the shop and do stuff.
So what kind of? I've seen a ton of your videos. So what kind of laser setup you got in your shop there?
Right now, I just have an AP laser, like a 4024, and I have an AP laser, like a 50 or 60 watt. I can't remember. Fiber that is. I'm building a bench for right now, so I can get that up and running.
Nice. That AP laser. That's the low boy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, they're
very
nice
cool.
looking lasers.
Thank you.
Yeah. very
Yeah, I really like the machines. I really like the customer service. I've been partnered with them for a while, and they kind of set the bar for any time that anybody does contact me and wants to send me a machine or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so my first question always is like, what's your customer service look like? Because I repped X-Tool for a very long time, and X-Tool's customer service is horrible.
Really? Wow.
Well, I mean, it's. I shouldn't say it's horrible. It's just a fact that unless they've changed, I mean, it's been a couple of years, but since they're based in China, like people would send a question and they wouldn't get an answer fast enough.
Yeah, they're better. They're better at that now. It's still not the best, but they have opened up a U.S. office now in California, in L.A. somewhere.
Well, good, because the thing was, I'm like, that's my first thing. So AP Laser, like, they literally have their phone number on the laser. If you have any issues, you call them 24/7. If they don't answer immediately, somebody calls you back in like 10 minutes. And they're super knowledgeable about machines. They're all technicians. They've worked on the machines. And my thing is, like, if I'm doing affiliate work for you, I'm peddling your wares. I'm not your IT guy or your tech support.
Yeah.
So if somebody has an issue with the machine, they should be able to contact your company, not me. And what I was running into was they would contact the company wouldn't get back to them fast enough. Not just X-Tool. I'm just using it as an example.
Yeah, it's an endemic problem in the business for sure.
100%.
And I think one of the worst ones in the laser world is Jacoda, because they don't have a website. So, and I get questions from viewers constantly, hey, I need a new lens, or I need a new shield, or I need this, I need that. Where do I get it? I go, hell, I don't know. Find something on Amazon.
You send a handwritten letter.
I have no idea.
Take a balloon, tie to it, let it go.
X-Tool has come along a lot in the last, I'd say, really the last 6 months, but certainly in the last year. They replaced. I had a bad controller in my P2, and they instantaneously, now maybe some of it's because I talk about X-Tool sometimes in a not so bright light, but they sent me a controller right away. They did a couple of things. We got on a call and they did a couple of things and went, yeah, your controller's dead. And I said, yeah, I know that. And they sent me, actually they ended up sending me 2 controllers, so I have a spare just in case, I guess. But
I've never had any problems with X-Tool. Of course, when I had a rep to talk to, so I get an answer, like within the next day, where the normal consumer wouldn't have a rep.
Right. Well,
when I did my controller, I specifically went through support with it, though. I didn't go through the rep.
Really?
Just to test it, because I like to know.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean, when I started out, I was one of their first affiliate people, and I had a rep, and they were really good about getting back to me. And then she left, and I got a new rep, and that rep was kind of hit or miss. And then she left, and then the rep I have now, which I made an X-Tool video a long time, so I don't really care. But the rep I have now, if I send him an email, like, he may or may not ever answer it.
That sucks.
Well,
although they're hosing like all their affiliates now, man.
Yeah,
because they dropped their commission to like a third of what it was.
It's not what it was when I first started. I was one of the first ones.
It's down to 4%. But if you were one of their, quote unquote preferred affiliates, you got to keep your old rate. So my rate didn't change.
Oh, see, like I've sold probably easily $1 million for them, and they cut my rate. They don't like me anymore. I wouldn't sign something.
What can you say?
You went quiet there for a while too, right? So,
well, because I wouldn't sign the thing they wanted me to sign.
Yeah,
they wanted me to sign something that said that I wouldn't say anything bad about the machines, and I said I won't come out and blatantly say anything negative, but if I have issues with the machine, I'm going to say that. And they got real squirrely on me about that point.
Yeah, well, I kind of understand companies getting touchy, but at the same time, like I told them, like in any video I do, I'm going to try and find some things where you could work on them, right? Things that you could improve, and that's more to help the company than the average user. Because I mean, if it was really bad, like you turn the thing on and it catches fire, I'm not even going to do a review on that laser, right? Like it's just not going to happen. So
yeah, we had early on our live people say, how do people do back to back views? And every laser is the best laser in the world. Where was the easy button that came with that laser? You know, and
yeah,
that's the influencer sales pitch. You know, so I think we're all pretty fair.
I got into that rabbit hole, man, and I just didn't like it. Like I never like my channel was never supposed to be about product reviews. I mean, obviously, it's kind of the nature of the beast. You're going to have to review. People are going to send you products. You're going to review them. You're going to do that.
Right.
But I got to the point where like every one of my videos was like a different laser. And I really because at that point in time, it was a bunch of kind of aluminum framed diode lasers, and they all pretty much did the same thing. It was kind of hard to like even come up with something to say that was better about this one than this one. And I just felt like I was saying the same thing over and over and over.
Yeah, I went through that too. And I still struggle with it, but I don't want to do. I was getting into that trap where it was like every video is a review. So what I did was kind of look back at my channel and what it means, and I kind of broke it down into 3 tiers. There's that shop tech scene where it's reviews, and then the projects, which I like a lot, and then the business section. And I've been trying to balance it better. And I've turned lots of companies away. It's like if I turned one away today, it's like, I got too many of these now. I'm queued up.
Yeah, ATX Bluecrest said Bluetooth is a bit sketchy, so the cable might be better. So kind of what you were saying, Steve.
Oh yeah, with an X-Tool laser.
With the controller for the CNC, Bluetooth, just using the Xbox controller.
Oh,
it's a little sketchy. The
corded
would be
well,
better.
I never had any problems with the Onefinity. It seems to be electrically pretty clean.
Okay.
Like there were people saying, "Oh, you don't want to run your spindle cables in the same raceway as you're running your control cables." I haven't had any of those problems.
Oh, some kind of RF leakage causing interference.
Yeah, I mean it's probably somebody running something that's not grounded, or a really terrible spindle that just may be noisy. I don't know, but
yeah.
Here Bamboo's tech support, and I had a little bit of an issue with them, but I think it was because I was trying to do it during the holidays, and Christmas, New Year's, and I finally did come out in one of the videos and say that was probably the reason they were so delayed in getting back to me and what we ended up having to do. But yeah, their turnaround is a day actually with me anymore, although they still won't let me be an affiliate because I badmouth their tech support. But so I go, now don't get me started on Creality. That will really go down a rabbit hole of that one.
Yeah.
But with Bamboo, I don't have any problem with them now at all.
Yeah, so appreciate everyone letting us know where you're joining us from. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Yeah, this is a live question and answer. Obviously, we'll be able to answer any questions you have.
Yeah, I think 2 to 3 days is the borderline of acceptability.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference, too, is that when you have tech support that's overseas, they have to understand they have these holidays, right? We're so Amazon spoiled, right? Like you want anything the next day, 2 days, right? And they close for like a month.
Chinese New Year.
Chinese New Year. That's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for them because it's a big party for a month, but
yeah, 2 times a year they just shut down. Like, too bad.
Not messing with it.
Yeah, well, I think that's why X-Tool is opening a U.S. office. Well, that and the fact the whole tariff thing is happening, and I think they're trying to stave off some of that. So
here's Santero, and he has a good point here. All these 3D printer companies now are making their own STL repository sites, and I'm guilty of that too because I'm going to show you one of them here. There's a monitor stand just to see how far we can go with multiple colors.
Wow,
that was done on Bamboo X1 Carbon. But yeah, and that STL was taken off of Bamboo's repository site. But yeah, Anycubic has one. Of course, there's Thingiverse, and there's a lot of sites out there. But yeah, each one of these companies now.
Yeah, it seems thick. Can you go back to that, Roger?
Yeah.
Is that like a roll of each color, or?
I know, man. I think it seems pretty massive.
Let me grab it here.
It looks like it's it looks like
it's
about
big. It is big.
Is that 100% infill?
You could like sit on that like a stool.
No, it's only 10% infill. There's the backside of it, and this has a drawer too. By the way.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty
there's
wild.
the top of it. Okay, this is rainbow filament here, and
intentionally. So this isn't like a multicolor thing where you're switching every 5 minutes to a different color.
Well, the AMS does the switching on, like here, switching all these colors and on the back. And I could make the AMS do this, but I'd have to have 4 different filaments in there at the same time.
Yeah, so it's just one. It's just one roll.
And this actually is, I don't know if you can see it, sparkles or not, but it's actually got a sparkle to it. But yeah, I've got. There we go. Oh, my drawer opened. Turned around the other way. So you can see this is, and it's a monitor stand. I've got one of my monitors. I'm sitting here. I already made one of these, but I didn't go this wild with colors.
It's pretty cool.
I could actually.
I might buy that off you for my daughter. So I made something pretty cool. I started with the Adamstack Craft, this 3D crucifix. That was pretty cool.
Well,
I'm sure if I made something like that in my shop would get struck by lightning.
You don't believe in God, Chris?
It's not a case of belief. It's just, if I was a good Catholic, I would have to confess like it's 27 years since my last conversion.
Father, I have sinned. You got anywhere to go? Why? I'm gonna be here a while.
So I also made something. I posted this on our member channel, and if you're not a member, Rick can post up the how to join our YouTube group or our Facebook group.
I actually added it to the.
For those who don't think I like coasters, there you go.
Okay, this comment here from Zentero. He's had to report stolen models on Crealities and Anycubic sites. Something I had been doing in the past was I 3D print or design to 3D print things for lasers, risers, and cable management. And I've got some here. So people, can ask me for the STL. I'll give it to them. You can 3D print your own. I don't care. Just please don't share it. Please don't sell it. Well, what did I find? This on Thingiverse, and I designed the damn thing. So I had to report that.
I had shared some files on our Facebook page, and somebody asked right away, and I just said, use it all you want, just don't sell the file, right?
Yeah, back in the early 90s, I built a newsreader program application for my company, and one of the icons was this newspaper. And I still see it every now and again. I see that icon, and it's like, come on, people, Jesus. And it's been in commercial products and everything, and it's just like, whatever. It's not really an intellectual.
My other one is the riser set I made for the longer B1. Well, can I have the STL for those risers? I'll print my own. No. Those I sell those, and no, you can't have the STL. You want to buy one and copy it? I don't care. But you're going to have to, do the CAD work yourself.
You just need to encourage people to learn something like Fusion or Blender or something, right? And just say, make it yourself. Like take the opportunity to learn to design something. You'll get the satisfaction of that when you see it come to life in a big fat rainbow piece of plastic that you can put your monitor on.
Well, even these here, these are risers for the longer Ray 5, and they fit together like Legos. And we sell the hell out of these things. I mean, I'm shipping probably 20 or 30 sets of these every week, and people will ask for the STLs, and I tell them, okay, please don't share it, please don't sell it. Make sure your printer is calibrated or they won't fit together. And I am constantly getting comments back, they don't fit. Calibrate your printer.
So my wife's uncle owns a factory in Canada, and they make plastic. And one of his largest companies is Lego. customers. So they get pallets of Legos sometimes they give away to the family. So that's pretty crazy.
Wow, that's crazy.
Well, you
Yeah.
scatter them around on the floor. That way you can test your feet.
Yeah, test the strength of your feet. It's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather run across burning coals than step on a Lego.
Oh, I remember when my boys were young and they leave them damn thing. They just like leave one out somewhere, and it would always be on a hard surface floor, and I would always find it, step on it.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
You want to take this one, Steve?
Oh, what do we got? Zentenro. I just started using co-extrusion silk PLA. Why'd you give this to me? This is a Roger question.
No,
it's not really a question. It's a statement. He's using the silk PLA. Is that the stuff you have there, Roger?
I was no, it's not silk. That one's sparkle. Oh, they're done. Dang, fries are done.
It's like your muffins or something. You're finished.
Well, you can see that this is silk.
Turn it the other way.
Rick, if you could blow that up.
Turn it face on. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
This one here is silk. Yeah. So somebody's going to say, what is that? That is the mount for a SculptFun S6 or S9 laser. And this is done in silk, green silk. Yeah, so yeah, it's cool stuff.
So Download Junkie Adventure said CO2 question. Looking at added a camera for a large bed, 1500 by 1000 millimeter.
Whoa.
Is there any suggestions?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So there's a couple things there, right? So first of all, you have to understand the lack of utility of a camera in a CO2 laser.
Right.
They're not really that useful. But if you want one, Lightburn actually used to sell some very wide angle ones. I actually have one in my 3624 laser. And I never use it, honestly. Like I never it on once and I went, okay, it's calibrated, and that was the last time I used it.
Yep.
So
you're going to get pretty universal response here that we're not real fond of cameras on lasers.
I think the biggest problem that people say, like we had it in one of our lives, is, what are the one thing you purchased for your laser that you don't use? And cameras was right at the top of the list.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest problems is that open frame diode lasers, people are putting them on these stands and they're just bouncing around. And then the other problem is that even in a sealed, whatever be diode or CO2, whatever it is, the light exposure, right? Either there's big LED lights in there and it kind of screws up the camera, or there's not enough lights in there. It just seems like it's not an ideal situation. So I actually have had my first hand experience with that with the AtomSec Craft, and man, I beat my head against the wall for 2 days trying to get that camera calibrated right.
Did you finally do it?
Yeah, no, I reached out to AtomSec and I said, what am I doing wrong? And they basically told me to do exactly the only way that had good results. Because in Lightburn, it tells you bring it all the way to the back, bring it all the way to the front. It's like showing it on the edge.
Yeah.
And and AtomSec, they told me basically keep it near the center. Just kind of like a cross. Don't go all the way to the outer edges.
Yeah, so that's what Clack told you too, right?
Yeah. But I kind of thought like, well, then I think it's not going to be as accurate on the outer ends, right? But again, it's a camera, right?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we all know the limitations.
Yeah, you have to keep it in perspective, right? It's not a perfect precision thing for the most part. You're in the ballpark, right?
Right.
I don't. Roger, you did the Vision Pro recently. They're actually sending me one of those, but the camera in the Vision is really good for accuracy.
Oh yeah, they are. It is just dead accurate.
Hey Roger, Terrible at Fishing said it's embarrassing your drawers just fall like that.
Yeah. Well, I have lost some weight,
Yeah, it's probably lost under some other fat somewhere, right? That's my excuse. I lost weight, but it's because I can't find it
Where's
anymore.
Jay don't play when a comment like that comes
out?
Oh yeah, we need Jay.
Jackie said, is it safe to laser engrave pulp board coasters?
Yes, you can do that. Yeah. Just don't set your power too high or you'll have a fire. But yeah.
What is pulp board?
You're better to go faster with multiple passes.
What is pulp board? Is it cork? What is that?
No, it's kind of it's cardboard, but it's not corrugated.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a paper pulp, and they use them. It's disposable coasters and bars used all the time.
Yeah, that compressed paper stuff that you see in bars.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's that stuff.
Clayton said, "Thank you, Roger. I love mine. It
Yeah.
works perfect on the longer."
I'm sure he's talking about these risers.
Yep. So I use cameras for monitoring and for jig alignments. Yeah.
And jigs for alignment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do the
that's
same
way-
thing. Jigs for alignment, and
Yep.
I just don't use cameras, with the exception of the We Create. I don't use cameras at all.
Yeah, I use that in the We Create, and the X-Tool lasers have, well, the P2, P2S have two cameras. One is it's in the ballpark, and the other one is, and it's right here.
Clack says, "I love my camera. I use 165 degree 8 megapixel fisheye. They are time savers." So 8 megapixel, I'm assuming he's putting his own camera in there. I think most lasers they're coming with like 3 to 5 megapixel cameras.
Yeah,
right?
it's 165 degrees, so it's probably pretty close to the workspace relative to some of them. Although, Clack, you have your Franken cabinet there that you put things in.
Centero says We Create camera setup looks like it might be pretty reliable. It is, and like I say, it's just dead accurate. The only thing I have found is if you cut like 40 sheets of plywood in it, you need to clean the lens on the camera because will cloud it up.
Yeah, that I'm guilty of that. Just sheets of trying to, you know what I mean? I was just trying to get the best results I could, and I got stuck at step 3, and I just couldn't get the results that I was looking for.
Yeah, there, Clack puts it right. Don't stress over accuracy. Yeah, it's I don't even know if I'd call it a tool. I'd call it a guide. It's certainly not absolute.
Download Junkie said I have a SV300, but the Lightburn has no support. I use it for military jig cutting. Cool.
What is it? What's an SV300? Who made that? Who makes that?
I don't know what that is either.
So I'm assuming he's in the military? Maybe he can't tell you.
Yeah, it's some top secret laser that we're all going to want now, I'm sure.
Enclosure.
Oh, that's what it is. Enclosurezilla.
Enclosurezilla. Ventura says, "I don't know about the Clack guy. He looks shifty."
Yeah,
especially now that I see who that's coming from.
He is shifty.
What do they say? Birds of a feather flock together. Santero says, "When you put a circle design in a circle blank, it needs to be pretty spot on."
Yes, it does, because if you're off just a little bit, you'll end up with a coaster that you have at your desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those.
That's
I got
why
like 1,000 of those.
That's why I use jigs. Yeah. So spring is coming, or spring's here, or it's trying to come at least. By us, it's been like 78 and it snowed, and then now we had a rainstorm. So
we got pounded by rain this morning. Really early in the morning, it just started pouring. It's been pretty nice here, though.
So with that said, you guys have any upcoming spring projects or something you guys are looking to make? We talk about, Nick, one of the things we talk about is most people have a niche, right? And that niche is something they make. But every big box store jumps on the bandwagon when it comes to seasonal items, right? Christmas, Halloween, spring, all these things. So we say to jump on that bandwagon at all because it's a small window of opportunity to probably make a killing. So is there any spring related items that you kind of push in your area or hot success for you?
So this year I'm going to be building a chicken coop.
Nice.
So not really going to be pushing items. The wife wanted to get some chickens. We were going to get 3. We somehow wound up with 7. We have a small chicken coop in the back of this house, not big enough for 7 chickens. So I was planning on building a chicken coop in like the next year or 2, but since we have 7 now, I will be building that soon. And I have a feeling that's going to take me a little bit of time.
Are eggs in the U.S. still like $20 a dozen or whatever?
Yeah, they're ridiculous. They're $6 a dozen here now.
It goes back and forth. See, my wife has wanted chickens for a long time. We just never lived anywhere where we could have them. And we moved here, we found out we can have up to 20 chickens. So yeah. So I'm building a chicken coop and learning a lot about chickens, actually.
See, I grew up on a farm, so.
Yeah, I had chickens for a long time. I tell you what, chickens are like guard dogs, right?
Yeah.
Like if anyone comes on your property, you're gonna know because they start making a ton of noise. They can hear anything.
Yeah, but at least you'll have cheap eggs.
No, but you know what I did too is that it's hard to catch a chicken, right? So when I would bring them treats, I'd take my keys and I would jingle them. So if I let them out or one of them got out for some reason, instead of chasing, I just take my keys and jingle them because they just think I'm going to give them treats. Gotcha, buddy. Or I just walk in the fence where they're in and I just jingle them. They'll come running, boy. They get in there and I just leave them, sucker.
So Canada Customs, apparently, according to your beloved president, we can't stop a fentanyl pill from going across the border, but we've been seizing eggs like you wouldn't believe. People coming across to buy eggs and trying to get them back.
Woody's Garage says, here's our one new viewer from Build Dad Build.
What's up, Woody?
It's in the Army.
Cheers, homie.
Donald Junkie says it's a Ruta CCD camera. It's on my dual head CO2 R230 100 watt. Huh.
Well, that's a good laser. Well, later, the next one, he corrects it. 130, not 230.
Okay. Yeah, 130 watt CO2 laser. He's not messing around.
Yeah.
Pretty nice.
I find it, I mean, I got a 90. I think that's plenty, actually.
Apparently, AP is working on like a 300 watt CO2.
Eggs at Walmart for $2 a dozen. Yeah. What kind of bird?
But they're filled with confetti. He said. You didn't read the rest.
Oh.
Filled with confetti.
Yeah, like eggs here are like, I don't know, $4 or $5 a dozen. Like they're dirt cheap.
I tell you what, the first time when I had my chickens, I was grossed out because when I saw the yolk, how dark it was.
Yeah.
Like, why does it look like that?
It's because they're free range, right?
Yeah.
Right. No, but the thing is, what you have to learn how to test an egg, right? To see if it's still good. They have the slope test to do, but you can Google that and go on YouTube. But the point is that as you start seeing eggs age, you realize the reason eggs expire in 2 weeks at the store is because they're about 30 days old.
Yeah, they're already
right.
Old.
So your egg will look like that if it's 30 days old, but in your house, you'll never have a 30-day egg.
So as a kid who grew up on a farm, I can assure you that if an egg isn't good, you'll know it.
Why? Whenever I went to Mexico, I says, "Why is the milk and eggs on the counter? Like, I'm not drinking milk and I'm not eating eggs here. I'm gonna get sick."
Oh, yeah, that's common. Yeah,
and they
you
said,
want milk in Mexico, you get it off the shelf. It's not in the cooler.
And they said,
but it probably came from the cow about an hour before you got there, right?
No, they said is they triple pasteurize it.
Yeah.
So since it's supposedly triple pasteurized, since it's fresh, it doesn't have to be. And when I didn't believe it, and then I went to one of these big camping places. I forget the name of it. And guess what they had on the shelf? Triple pasteurized camping milk. And I was like, okay, it's a thing.
Yeah, the thing with eggs down in Mexico too is they do not wash the protective coating off of them.
Yep.
So you don't need to. Same thing in Europe. They don't refrigerate eggs.
Yeah, because you like leave them on the counter for months or something ridiculous like that. If you don't clean them, if you leave the
you got to let it dry. Yeah, and then you can wash it off. Right. Terrible at Fishing said, I can't get my red laser light to show me where it's hit. I can't get my red laser light to show where my laser will hit. My eye mostly burns. I know it's offset. I haven't figured out.
Is this a CO2 laser?
Yeah. What kind of laser is it?
Well, you could, if it's in if you're running Lightburn, you can set the offset, but it's easier to just actually calibrate the red dot.
Yeah.
You can do a mechanical calibration. Usually the red dot passes through the beam path, and back where the main CO2 laser output is usually where it is, and there's an adjustment there. The easiest way to do it is to put a piece of material down in your bed, take a single shot with your CO2 laser, and then move the red dot to where that is.
Yeah, that's what I did on my Monport, and it holds dead accurate.
Yeah.
I did the same thing my Monport. Yep.
Oh, Zentenro. Yeah, he shops at Walmart. This is a reference to my last video where I said I don't sell things to people who shop at Walmart. I was waiting for somebody to complain, but surprisingly, a lot of people actually kind of got that.
I really like that video, by the way.
It's done quite well, actually. It's like borderline viral. And it kind of taught me something. It taught me that people really want to understand how the business works, right? It's like we all can turn on a laser, but it's like, what do you do with it once you get it turned on, right? Like, how do you impress a customer?
Tripod Garage. I've actually seen his YouTube channel quite a bit.
Tripod's videos too.
Yeah.
What's up, Tripod?
Welcome aboard, Tripod.
Yeah. He might have a few lasers.
Yeah,
he's got
just a few. He just said it. I might have a few lasers. Too funny.
I think we're all kind of in that same boat. I might have a few. I am down to 12 though. I have thinned the herd.
I got about 20 of them sitting in storage. Like, I don't know what to do with them.
I sold and gave a bunch of them away. I have 2 or 3 like old rail style ones that are just kind of piled in a corner right there.
Yeah.
I didn't need them.
I tend to give those away to places that are building, I'll say, future engineers, like STEM programs and stuff.
Right.
That's cool.
And also ex-military people who are suffering from PTSD. They need a hobby. Those kind of people. I find some of those too. So
yeah,
so if you're in Canada, you need a laser, and you're ex-military. Let Steve know.
Yeah, I ended up driving up near I think Austin and giving my P2 away actually to a vet who's he does a lot of laser engraving, he's fixed income and whatnot, and his laser died on him. Like, he just, and honestly, like, from use died on him.
Right.
So
I drove up there and gave him a new P2.
No, the last of my
freshly used,
last of my X-Tool D1s that I actually had the extension on that one. Went to my nephew because he wanted to get into laser engraving, and I said, well, here you go. I'll help you out with it. And of course, I get constant phone calls now about
my D1 Pro still hanging on the wall. It's got the extensions on it, and nice. I'm waiting for someone to come in and say, I'd really like to get into lasers. So. Because that thing's too big to ship anywhere, right? It's just.
I literally have like just a box. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Of laser heads and like.
So find someone who's got a CNC, and they want to put a laser on it. I gave one away just recently to somebody, and I assured them they didn't want to put a CNC or a laser on their CNC, but they were insistent. So,
well, I'm glad to see I'm not the only one with a tote box full of laser heads.
Yeah. Oh, you're not the only. You're not the only two either.
Jared James said, "Glad to hear, gentlemen. Can you guys recommend a bunch of top lasers for cutting patterns out of 20 to 20 gauge steel? Budget
friendly plasma table.
Yeah, either a plasma table, or if you really want a laser, an X-Tool metal fab will do it.
Yeah, I mean,
how much money you got?
I know.
You're not gonna do that with a CO2 or a diode laser. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
I went to ISA last year, maybe 2 years ago, and they had fiber lasers in there that would cut through, an inch thick aluminum, but it was the size of a large vehicle. Like it looked like a room.
Right.
I mean,
that's because they take the 60 watt or 80 watt or 100 watt laser module, and they put up a stack of them in, and then they put a whole bunch of beam integrators in there to create one big fat beam that does all that. And
we say it all the time. We get these companies from China or India that are like, do you want this laser? And we're like, we can't power up 440 volts.
And it's something weird too. It's like 3.5 phase or something. Like, it's just something stupid, right?
Yeah.
Like I couldn't turn it on. 550 volt at 4 phase or some weird thing. It's just like, yeah, forget it.
Looks badass, but I can't turn it on. Was it gonna run off solar?
Terrible at fishing, says diode laser. Sorry, I was trying to go back to his last comment to find out what the context was. But I can't see it.
There you go.
He raises rabbits. Oh no. Okay, there was another one. All right. Oh yes. Okay, the red laser light thing.
Well, is it an X-Tool laser?
If it's a diode laser, then the X-Tool doesn't have a red dot in it.
Well, it's got a red cross.
Oh, on a if it's a
On a
D1 Pro
D1.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shouldn't go out of alignment actually. But you can fix the if you're running Lightburn, you can fix the offset. I think Xtool just does it automatically, or XCS just does it automatically. Yeah, we've
West
been there.
Virginia.
West Virginia.
How far back
I lived
did
in
you
West
go,
Virginia
man?
for like a year.
Hold on.
You went back, man.
I have 13 offloading, so 13 lasers that he has.
Yeah, that's the challenge, right? Like people go, "Oh, you got a YouTube channel, you get free stuff." Yeah, and you got to get rid of it too.
Yeah.
Well,
Fortunately,
yeah,
I
and you got to figure out a good way to get rid of it so you
Yeah.
don't get hell.
well, yeah, and I mean, I don't want to like any of them. If I'm not going to use it for any length of time, I store it because I don't want to bring it into my assets, right? Because then you pay tax and a whole bunch of stuff on it.
Right.
Checking in from Alabama.
Tripod Garage says, I have 13 lasers, offloading some as we speak. Need room in my shop, offloading 3D printers as well. So I may have some giveaways and some sell.
Yeah, I did the offloading of 3D printers. I offloaded 12 of them as I changed over to the Core XY and went to the Bamboo. And something that'll be coming up here is I've got an Anycubic Pro and an Anycubic Max, Pro Max, that just came in today. So there'll be some videos on those coming up here shortly.
Yeah, I gotta get rid of a couple of 3D printers too.
I've still got some Corelity printers up in the loft out there. I need to get unloaded.
I got a K1 Max. Do you want me to send it to you?
No, that's a Corelity thing. I don't want to get in there.
I can't wait till I have a CNC Canada.
Well, we look at the flag and we go, let's just slow down on this one. Let's do a slow walk. I can't believe that. Like I said, they used to have the build tracking on their site.
I'll log in right now just to make sure I'm not a liar. But infinitycnc.com.
Well, one of these days in the not too distant future, you'll hear that familiar backup beeping sound, and the UPS guy will open the door and say, "This is all yours."
Let's see.
Kevin's comment here says, "Hello, lasers." LOL. Yep. One is never enough.
Nope.
Well, I'm not sure if he was saying, "Hey, if you're looking for a place to store one, just send it to me," or if he's putting the plural on lasers and saying, "What, lasers?"
I really, when I moved up here, I tried to unload a lot of stuff out of the shop, not just lasers. Like I had a drill press that I didn't use very much and stuff like that. But I brought some old diode lasers up here, and I've got my Rolly automation one that I use that's enclosed. I don't know why I brought those like rail lasers up here. You know what I mean? It's just
unless you're going to do mass construction, it's not worth it, right?
Right.
It's just
while we're on the subject of lasers, have any of you ever had a tree fall on your laser?
A tree?
No. Can't say.
I had one of my longer B1s on a table outside. It was on Sunday. And it was a pretty windy day, but I was doing it outside. It was making a lot of smoke. I was cutting cedar. And a branch, a very large branch, came off of a arborvitae tree from the neighbor, went right across the top of the laser.
And you didn't make a YouTube short for this?
I was like, that's a viral TikTok, right?
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't shooting video or anything of that. And I was more pissed than anything because that was like my B1s are like my go-tos for cutting.
Right.
Yeah. Well, if I could be your YouTube mentor for a second, I would say, being pissed is great because that will convey emotion when you do the video.
Did it knock over your beer?
No, it did not. I had that in my hand.
Now, the only thing that would make it better is if you caught it on your Ring camera, because Ring cameras are all the rage too, right?
Yeah. No, it didn't actually hurt anything. But, I mean, it screwed up the cut, of course. But it didn't damage the laser.
Nick, you want to take this one?
What am I doing?
Read the comments.
I only have one old 12 by 20, 60 watt Chinese no name. Want to upgrade. Almost bought an Omtech. Several times, probably effed up now with tariffs. I mean, it kind of depends on what you want to do. Do you want to go bigger? Do you want to, I mean, are you totally fine with just having like a CO2? Or are you looking for, I mean, are you just looking for like larger size? Are you just looking to replace that one? I would say, I mean, especially tariff land, I would stick with like, some place that's, more America located.
America. Sorry,
depends
Steve.
on what you're doing with it, though. I mean, so I mean, if you're going to get into something like AP's more of a like it's a business machine,
Commercial.
Right? They don't really sell those. I mean, they have their really small one, which I guess you could consider kind of like I'd consider it a level up from hobbyist. But yeah, they're out to have a machine that's going to be running all day long. If you're looking for something like that, I would go AP. I mean, if you're like, if you were just, if it's fun in the shop, I don't know, I'd look at something, I mean, actually, Umtech wouldn't be bad. Umtech's not made here, though. Is Thunder made here?
I don't think
Thunder,
anything's
no.
made
Well, no, Thunder's not made here either.
I don't think anything.
Here being North America. I thought AP was European, actually.
AP is, they're actually made in, I'm not saying they don't get parts from China, but they're made in Canada.
Oh man!
And you guys say you don't need anything from us. Your whole laser business is going to be shut down.
Every time I get anything from AP Laser, they send me a toque and a big bottle of maple syrup.
Both are required for the weather in Texas.
I know, right?
Kevin said, "Yeah, Rick, they're supposed to send me red line spindle Tuesday, but nope. I got my spindle. I'll show it."
Does it have a red line on it? This is the actual Onefinity spindle. We're trying, but we're in the middle of an election now, so we can't ship things. For a while.
This thing is
Woo!
Water cooled.
You've been
I almost
owned.
drop it. This thing's
I gotta say, I like my water cooled spindle. I have no regret. People said, "Oh, you're gonna regret having to move liquid around," but
man, I tell you what, they had those at Workbench Con like 2 years ago, and they're so quiet.
Yeah, spindles in general are
second.
quiet. Yeah,
I was dumbfounded because I had I can't remember what it's called. It's
a trim router.
Inventables. What's their CNC? Inventables.
Anyway, that's the connector I was telling you about, Steve. See the quick whatever. So they put it on the router, but they didn't give me the other side that goes to the hose, and they didn't send me the hose either.
Yeah, those little 500 watt spindles. Those things they're a bit noisier, but they're all quite like anybody who's got a CNC with like a trim router of some sort in it. Just get rid of it. Do your ears a favor.
Oh yeah, it's obnoxious. I really wanted it. I mean, that's actually that kind of took me into lasers because what I was trying to figure out is a way to offer or to show my subscribers if you're going to build something how to personalize it.
Yeah,
and I mean, lasers wasn't even on my radar. I was looking at CNCs because I thought it'd be cool to like be able to engrave the name of the family or whatever in there, and maybe even fill it with epoxy or do whatever. But I was like, well, you can, instead of charging $120 for this cutting board, now you can charge $180 because it's personalized. And I went through a couple of like small CNCs, and then I went to a bigger one, and I was like, for content creation, I guess it was just obnoxious. Like I can't have it running in the background and film a video. If you're just using it in your shop, it's probably fine. You know what I mean? Like you can have that run in the shop and do something else. But like
this is the caution I gave Rick too is a spindle. Like my spindle, when I turn it on, I can barely hear it. but the second you touch wood, you're gonna hear it.
Oh,
So
I
it
asked
doesn't really solve the problem, right?
I said to Steve, "Why don't you make more CNC content? Why? How come I don't see it?" And that's exactly what he said. It's too damn loud. So I think you'd actually almost have to record it and then dub it over after the fact.
Well, normally,
Yeah, I mean-
even with lasers, if I'm in my shop, I don't record audio when I'm doing lasers usually either, unless I'm
Really?
trying for like that cool effect that fiber lasers make, the sizzling sound. That's sometimes cool.
yeah,
but-
yeah. Daniel does that, right?
I have enough space where if the AP's running and I'm on the other side of the shop and I'm filming, it doesn't really pick it up. What it picks up more is the exhaust fan than the actual laser.
There's a. Have you guys heard of Adobe Podcast? The actual
Yes.
software called Podcast.
Yeah.
I love running my audio through that because man, it does some miracles on cleaning up audio.
Yeah, a lot of it is to get the right microphone too, like those little lapel mics that you have there, Rick, the DJI ones. Those things have no discrimination of sound, right? Like you got to get one of these. Like I have a Shure mic here, and I mean, if I'm talking here, it's perfect. But I mean, I've got my network server sitting over here, burning away, making all kinds of noise, but you can't hear it.
Yeah,
This thing is super directional.
What I've discovered is with the Adobe Podcast software or any of those AI, they're supposed to clean up your voice stuff.
right.
They do not like how I shoot videos because I'll talk like the same for the most of it, and I'll give it like a hoo-hoo! And if I do that, it will blank all that out because it's looking for like a mid-level, and whenever it hears that, it thinks it's like shop noise or something, and it's like, so I'll go
And then dub it
and
in
it just,
after.
yeah. So I'm like,
You need to do the bad dub over like I did. I don't know if you ever saw that video.
What? Where I'm like that kind of thing.
We just had a lightning strike here. I know you didn't hear it, but I about wet myself. That thing was so loud. It was really close. It dumped our power here for a little bit, but we're back on.
Wow.
Oh.
Where are you? Where's here?
Illinois. I'm on the Iowa-Illinois border.
Oh, so
Directly.
the one we had last night.
Yeah, I'm in Illinois as well. Yep.
Yeah, Rick will get what I'm getting right now here in about 3 hours.
I'm 2 miles from the Atlantic Ocean, so
Yeah,
I won't get a storm until probably August when hurricanes decide to stop by.
I'm about an hour southwest of Chicago.
So wait a second. Tripod is, I can't remember exactly. He's in the suburbs of Chicago.
Is he? I didn't know
He's
that.
still here. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Bless you.
Let me look. Yeah, we were BSing earlier.
That one snuck up on me.
Kevin said, I have an F1 Ultra, would like something bigger work area.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice laser. Just make some money and buy another one.
Yeah. So, but what I tell people when they want to buy an F1 Ultra is it's a fantastic laser for
It's
what
small.
it's intended for. But
Right.
if you want to cut anything bigger than, a small cutting board or something, if you want to engrave a small cutting board, it's too small. It's not designed for that. You got to have something with some real estate.
So
And
I reached out to your changer making tool guys. But they
oh yeah,
offer
tool
the-
change the
Forget the name of it.
quick. No, I was gonna say quick change. It's not that. Geez, now I forgot. It's terrible.
They
I
said our
gotta send.
podcast
I
sucks.
gotta send him an email.
They said
Anyway,
our
how's he doing?
podcast Sucks.
What's that?
They said our podcast sucks and that our audience is probably not their audience. And I was like, "Are you serious?" And then he said, "Do you actually own a CNC?" And I was like, "Man, coming in with the low blows. Like, what are you talking about?" And so,
Hey, I'm sorry, Kevin Rich, what the F1 Ultra, what are you trying to do with it?
yeah, question.
I mean, are you trying to do mainly fiber, or you want to do both?
There we go. He'll come back. Tim said it's going to be interesting to see what laser price is going to look like now.
That'll be
Yeah,
cool.
I think there's a lot of people waiting for that.
They're going to be 34% higher.
I actually had like 4 manufacturers reach out to me. There were fiber laser manufacturers and said, we want to know if you'd be interested, but we're not willing to do a collaboration yet until we know what the tariffs are going to be.
Right.
And I was like, wow, that's actually smart thinking, because they may have to change completely how they're marketing things.
Well, that's why Xtool dropped their affiliate commission, is because of the tariffs. Is my understanding, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't have any optics into what they do.
I mean, they didn't say that, but I'm assuming, considering that tariffs is a big thing right now, and they're doing that at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, this is going to change how a lot of companies do business, right?
The good thing is that once Canada becomes a state in the United States, that everything will change.
Yeah, good luck with that.
It'll just be Northern Illinois, right?
So apparently France has been doing battle plans and drills on what it would take to come to Canada to defend us if you guys come across the border. I think this is getting a little out of hand. Right?
That's because Canada's kind of like tree huggers, right? They're like, you want to fight? We're in trouble.
Well, that's always been my thing. I'm like, I always joke. Okay, so I got a buddy that lives up in Canada, and when we were moving from Houston, he was like, because I was looking at moving out of the country. My wife wanted to move here because the family's close, and he's like, "Well, you always got space up here or whatnot." And I was like, "Well, man, I would love to move to Canada. I love Canada, but the thing is, I'm like, who doesn't love Canada? Why are you fucking with them? I mean, it doesn't make any sense."
That's what I said. To me, and no offense, Steve. Canadians to me kind of remind me of like hippies. They're just like laid back, chill.
Well, yeah, but you see, that's all an act, right? Like we're really nice until there's a reason to not be nice. I really have to. I don't really like to make political statements too much, but I'll wear my Canuck around and find out shirt.
Steve, I have to say this, man. Like, I've watched 50 of your videos, easy.
Cool.
On OnlyFans or YouTube?
On YouTube.
Oh,
but no, the OnlyFans ones I can only watch upside down because it's weird.
Yeah, you gotta be laying on your side for those.
Yeah. This is the first time I've really heard like your Canadian accent. Like I've never picked up on that before.
Yeah, well, so I mean, I've always worked for American companies, right?
Tell them say sorry.
What? Sorry.
Say sorry.
Sorry.
Well, Steve, you do have a different voice here on the live stream than you do in your video.
Yes, for sure. Because
it's my announcer voice versus my I'm laid back. I've let my short hair down and
yeah.
No, I just I really don't hear it until conversationally.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I used to almost always work for American companies or consulted to American companies. So, I basically translated whenever I had to. Somebody actually asked me one time if I was American, and because I was in Canada, and somebody said, "Are you American?" I said, "No." Like, why would you say that? Well, because of the way I said something. I went, "Well, I got my American voice turned on right now. Yeah, I could do it, but it's not."
Oh, here you
I'm
go. Here you go.
Now, so
Tripod Garage said, "I'm in the northwest boroughs of Chicago. Really bad thunderstorm this morning into early December." Hey, we got to get together then, man. Because me, you, and Roger are all. You're northwest. I'm in the southwest. I'm in Oswego, Illinois. I don't care.
I'm on the west side, and I have talked to Rick about coming out and paying him a visit sometime. Maybe we could do the live stream together some Wednesday night if I get the wife to agree to that.
That'd be cool.
I'd fly into Chicago to see you guys, but apparently we're getting arrested at the border now for some reason. So.
I tried to go to Vegas with Nick, but it didn't work out. What happened, Nick? Come on, man.
What'd I do?
Remember you did the giveaway for AP?
Mm-hmm. Oh shit! Was it you?
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks so bad. So I'm the one that came to AP and was like, I want to give away a trip because they wanted me to, go to LaserCon or whatever. And I went to the airport and I sat down and they delayed our flight for like an hour and then another hour and another hour. And by that time, I'm like 3 whiskeys deep, so I'm mad. And then they just canceled it all together. And they didn't say anything. I just got like a text on my phone that was like, your flight has been canceled. I was like, what are you talking about? And so I'm like sitting there trying to like figure out what's going on, and I can't find a flight out. So, and then I went down to try to get my luggage, and they're like, oh, we'll send it to you. The luggage, it took me, I think it was 6 weeks to get my luggage back because my luggage was on the plane, and my luggage went to Las Vegas. When I got it back, I kept calling the Houston airport, and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll look for it, blah, blah, blah. And then finally one day I get a call from somebody in Las Vegas at that airport. They're like, your bag's here. And I was like, I'm sorry, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know at that point. It had been so long. And they're like, yeah, apparently it's just been flying back and forth from Vegas to Houston for like 6 weeks. I had it was a bright red bag. I get it back. It's just black. And then so the next day I wanted to I tried to book on a flight the next day, and I think my plane ticket there was like $400 or $500 to get on the one flight that I could fly up there the next day was going to be like $2,000.
Yikes.
And it was on AP Laser's dime, but I was like, man, I'm going to be there for a day. But the thing is sucked is it was my idea to have the stupid contest at the end.
Now, Zantero says I'd like to buy another A1 Mini. Haven't earned enough gift cards yet on Maker World. Yeah.
What is an A1 Mini?
It's a 3D printer. It's a smaller version of the Bamboo Labs A1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The Bamboo A1. Gotcha. Hold on. So Kevin says something. All right, man. So I don't know if this is in your budget, but check this out. I'm going to put it in the deal. AP Laser has come up with a fiber laser, a Galvo fiber laser that also runs on a gantry.
That's interesting.
That sounds like a mechanical nightmare.
It's interesting, though.
It looks pretty cool. I'm going to say it. It looks pretty cool.
This is the probably much more expensive version of what Longer did with the Nano Duo, right? You can, it's a Galvo laser, but they also have effectively it's a bed slinger with a Galvo laser. So
Nick, people ask us all the time, why do we read the comments? And that we actually have a fair amount of actually viewers who aren't actually viewing; they're just listening. Mm-hmm. So the reason we share them is because that we are putting all of our social media accounts kind of in one stream.
Oh, because this is podcast too. I got you.
Right. So we kind of read them out loud so that people can see the questions because not everyone can see it. So Kevin had said, with the Ultra One, I do custom ammo cans and slate coasters, but I'd like to grow a larger CNC to compliant to F1. My CNC 1 Infinity, I guess smaller cuts for stack type of projects. I think that like we all say that we have particular equipment that you start like pigeonholing into one thing, right? You're going to have a certain laser, you have a jig set up that you get enough lasers or enough this that you just kind of just start making items for that. So if you start, I think, creating a lot of something, you might start finding yourself designating a piece of equipment to it.
Yeah, that's when you get plural lasers.
Exactly.
Kevin says he loves Halifax. So I live about, 10 minutes from downtown Halifax. I hate Halifax. It's what happens when a 200-year-old city, they pave the roads and expect traffic to drive on them. So, it's kind of crazy. And no offense if anybody from Halifax is actually listening, but
Tim here says
it's a bit hard to get around.
Tim here says that X-Tool has set up a presence in the Bay Area. Do you think it's just support? I have heard that X-Tool has set up in the California area.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Isn't
so
that
they
though?
did. Yeah, so they did two things. They do have a support office. I think it's in San Francisco. Actually, it's in Oakland. It's on the other side of the bridge, and then they're opening. I guess it's a development office in somewhere in one of the LA suburbs.
Yeah. So one thing I'd say is that they're definitely, I think, AP Laser has a niche in the memorial.
Oh yeah.
But
Well,
definitely
the funny
not
thing
have
is,
to be definitely not have to be memorial type item. But the whole idea of the low boy, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, is that your workspace is so much bigger because you can just roll something underneath it. That's the idea behind it, right? Rather than a pass through, it's
yeah.
literally just physically open.
So
What I didn't realize is when I first started my relationship with AP Laser, anytime I would ask them a question, like I was trying to engrave on like a slightly curved surface, and they're like, well, you need a different lens, and they're like, yeah, kind of like if you're engraving on a casket. And then I was talking to somebody else, and they're like, oh yeah, like kind of like you're engraving on a gravestone. And I'm like, why are you guys so morbid? And the thing is, Tong, the owner of the company, used to work as I think he supplied the granite for memorials and stuff like that. And what he realized is those guys were sandblasting them back in the day. And he realized that you could use a laser and get like much better detail and probably faster and less mass. So that's why he started the company. So it is funny because they're always like, well, oh yeah, kind of like engraving an urn, like, or a tumbler, like,
yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did a CO2 lasers can engrave granite pretty well, high power ones. I did a thing for a guy. He was blind, but he had a dog, his sight dog, and his dog passed away. So he worked at the casino in Halifax here, and they were changing the floor. So I got this big hunk of marble that was basically accidentally the shape of a heart. So I did a carving for him with his dog, and I actually put his dog's name in readable form and in Braille form, so he could read it. And it's a garden stone for him, and you can do this kind of stuff. It's the closest thing I've come to a memorial, Rick. I know you do a lot of them, but this laser here that you're showing, this looks like the kind of thing you could roll a casket up into underneath it and do some fancy engraving.
Right. So the white box in the middle is the actual fiber galvo laser, and then it runs on that gantry. So you could stick it in the middle, but it can do that whole area.
Oh, Roger.
Roger's getting a spam call.
Hold on one second.
We're getting some new names in the list here. Are we going back to the list, Rick?
Yep, go ahead. Sorry,
I don't know how to do that. What are you're asking me, man? I'm a
Where
software guy. This looks like a hardware problem to me. Can we do? There we go.
I need to get the phone over here close so I can answer and say County Morgue. I love doing that.
Or just turn it on speakerphone and let them listen to our.
Oh yeah, I can do that.
The Impaler said, "Can you post a link to the AP laser?" He actually did. Here you go.
Yeah, I mean that's like the landing page. I don't know exactly what he was looking for, but I'm saying drop me a line if you have questions.
Yeah. They call Roger about his extended warranty.
Yeah, I have two things I do. I have two things I do when I do answer them, and it's rare. My favorite one is to say, "Kitchen, is this for delivery or takeout?" And they'll start talking. I say, "This is for delivery or takeout," and that number will never call back. The other one I like to do is say County Morgue, and then they go, "Excuse me," I say County Morgue. Then I'll say, "You stab them, we slab them." What's your specialty? You need to cover something up? You tell me how many Target gift cards you need, and we'll work it out.
So I registered ShopTalkLive.club, right? So ShopTalkLive.club if you see it, it's kind of scrolling the bottom. It's automatically forwarded to our Facebook page. So that way we weren't sharing this like big long URL. When I registered, apparently, even though I registered on GoDaddy private, for whatever reason, I'm getting now 35 calls a day. Do I want a website? So when they call me, I say, hold on a second. You caught me in the middle, son. Let me just finish up. And I just play a porn and set my phone down.
So my voicemail is, I mean, it's my business and my personal line, but my voicemail basically says, if you reach this, I'm unavailable. If you leave a message, I'm not going to listen to it. Text me like a normal person. And I got a voicemail the other day that was like, it was from a business that I actually work with. Like, it was actually a call that I needed to get. And he's like, I would text you, but I'm calling you from a rotary phone.
A rotary phone?
What?
Were they in Canada?
What country was he in?
Missouri. So I don't know.
Wow.
That's funny.
So Tim says, yeah, Xtool's got setting up a Bay Area presence for support. And I think that's primarily to it's kind of in between, so they can still talk to China when they need to in some kind of office hours, and then they can work the rest of North America. So you get rid of that 24-hour delay.
So I think too is that there's some new laws that are being in place that they have to have a certain principle. So it's like a dollar amount of equipment in the United States to be considered a U.S. based company.
Yeah,
I can see that.
So they're going to have like, warehouses of inventory. I don't know
well,
what.
Yeah, and I think that's what the LA place is, right? They've got a couple of demo labs there, and just and I assume the rest of it is warehouse.
Hey, I'm gonna have to step away for a minute. I am actually in the basement of our house. We're getting some wild crap going on outside.
Okay,
so I'll be back in a minute. I gotta check on things.
Good luck out there, man. I want to say ATX, but this is my dyslexia. AXT Woodcraft, another new name. We got lots of new people tonight.
I posted a ton of different Facebook groups today to join our live, so hopefully it worked.
Cool. So I doubled the Y-axis on my long array 5. Larger honeycomb cost $100, so basically the price of the laser. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big commitment for a Ray 5. But
yeah,
I'd like the Ray 5. I mean, it's a good solid laser. It'll last forever.
Yeah, so you bought a laser for $159 and you buy a laser honeycomb for $100.
Yeah, and put $100 honeycomb in it.
Yeah.
But you can move that honeycomb to the next big laser you have.
Exactly. So
the
and the good thing
Impaler.
too, what's he saying?
The Impaler. Rolly has the same. Oh yes, the new Rolly Galvo, whatever they call it. 40 watt blue, 20 watt fiber.
That's pretty crazy.
On a Galvo. Yeah, it's Rich has talked about this.
So
he did a live stream on it just recently.
So those who are not aware, I don't mean to put Rich's LA Highway Guys business out there, but he had some surgery. So if you don't see him as much online, that's why. So we asked for some prayers for him, for a speedy recovery. And hopefully within the next 2 weeks, he'll be joining our podcast. So that's pretty cool. Looking forward to having him. And I did not know until I think 2 or 3 weeks ago that he actually watches our podcast on a regular basis, but he normally watches it on TV. So he doesn't comment. And he had actually joined from his computer and he had commented live. And so I was very honored that he watches our podcast. So very cool.
And now he's going to build the Klaxon Closurzilla for his big Ray 5.
Yeah, speedy recovery, Rich.
Yeah, speedy recovery to you. Yeah, we're getting some wild weather here. I mean, it's just wild out there. But when I can hear it raining when I'm in the basement, that's something.
Oh, Steve.
Xtool has a warehouse in Saskatchewan. Yeah, I knew that. So I actually have a test for you guys. Where's the? Here we go. So the AY7531 says he's not in Halifax. He or she, I guess, is not in Halifax. But say this name.
Man, I don't. Mushtabudish. Mushabudish. Mushtabutis.
Well, is this a hooked on phonics test here? Or?
No, this is a real place, and just so you know, AY, this is literally 10 minutes from my house, so we should get together for a beer sometime.
People are commenting easy. That's easy. My dyslexic ass can't read that.
So, you know, and I know your wife is French Canadian, Rick, but this would be pronounced Muscadabit. Your wife would probably say something like Muscat de Bois, except it's a T, not an S at the end. So, yeah, this is very close to my house.
Yeah, so I told my
for their benefit, I'm in I'll say the suburbs of Porters Lake. Porters Lake has about 500 people in it. It's not very big.
Nice. Yeah, I told my wife today she was making food, and I said, "Man, this is just so damn good." She says, "I can cook," and I said, "I know I'm fat because of you." She said, "I feed you healthy food." I said, "I just eat a lot of it."
Yeah. If you want good Canadian cooking, definitely a French wife. You made the right choice if you like food.
Yeah, she definitely can cook. Can you post a link for the AP laser? Let me share.
We did that. Oh, there's one coming up here. Actually, the Impaler posted one. Yeah. Clack's endorsing his own enclosure. He gives it 2 thumbs up.
He's giving it Google reviews.
Yeah. He's posting on Yelp right now. No, it is you got to have an enclosure like that.
Hey, Clack, what do you think of this, Clack? The Illusion laser engraving. Look at his feet. I think it's awesome. I like it.
ATX is getting 2 sheets of 3/4 ply tomorrow. Now I have to go back and find out why. Oh, because he's building the enclosure. Yeah, okay. There's the link for the Impaler. Oh no, the Impaler posted that already. Oh no, he was asking. Okay.
Actually, just told the owner. I said, "Hey, we're talking about your laser." So I thought maybe he'd jump in there.
Oh, we got to get Nick back in here. He looks like he's just sitting there doing nothing.
Chilling.
Yep.
You missed my kids. They just came in.
Oh man, you should have jumped in. My bad. So what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a little Founders Centennial IPA.
Okay.
When I'm not drinking whiskey, I'm a big IPA guy. But IPAs have gone hazy lately, and they're kind of sweet and fruity, and that's not my style. I had a great beer called Hopadillo made by Carbach that was in Houston. And they've been bought by Anheuser-Busch, so I thought I would see them kind of branch out, but I can't find it anywhere. So far, like the Centennial IPA is, I think Founders is around this area someplace. Is kind of my daily driver, I guess, as far as IPAs go.
Steve has a funny joke about our beer. What is that Canadian King?
Oh, what's what do Sex in a Canoe and American beer have in common?
It's full of water.
They're both fucking near water. Apologize for the slur there, but
I will say there's a brewery here in Chicago. It's called Goose Island. I'm sure Rick has heard of that.
Yeah. Love Goose.
Oh yeah, their IPA is good, and
yes,
321 is one of my go-to domestic beers. I'm big on Mexican beers, Modelo. Actually, the next one in the bucket is Dos Equis Ambar.
A little chilada over there, Rick.
Well, those who don't know, you may be misled by his skin complexion at this point in time, but he's normally part-time Mexican.
Yeah, I'm usually much darker than this. We didn't get to go on our trip in January because of my wife's health, but normally I would have a very, very dark tan.
Yeah.
Hey,
One of
you
our
glossed-
very first lives, he actually joined from Mexico. That was actually pretty cool.
You
Yeah.
glossed over this, Rick. So
Oh.
Tim also lives not too far from me. He's about an hour and a half away. And
All right, so you guys got to have a Canadian gathering. We'll
he's
have
setting up a summer
Chicagoland gathering.
barbecue. This is awesome.
Yeah, so I own a couple acres, so we could definitely have a bonfire and a big barbecue at my house.
Well, yeah, it depends. So it tends to get dry here in the summertime, and that causes forest fires. So having a big bonfire is sometimes uncool.
I mean, you're talking about the 3 days that it's actually summer in Canada, right?
Well, so there are places where that might be sort of true, but I live in a sweet spot. This year, actually, it was late. My daffodils didn't start growing until beginning of March, but usually they're like February, middle of February.
Looks like you're up, Roger.
Okay, is there a way to take an existing 3MF file for a 3D printer setup for Bamboo printer and import it into Tinkercad to make your own file with revisions? I have not tried to export a file in STL or open a 3MF file in anything. I actually have never tried it, so honestly I don't know.
All right.
I know you can't open a 3MF into Tinkercad, but there's probably a way. I have just never tried to do it. A lot of times in Maker World, if you don't want to download the 3MF, you can actually download the STL.
Or you can, if you have something like, I'm trying to think, Cura might be able to import that and export an STL. Like you can do conversions on them.
Here's the other thing. Let's just say you can't. You really want something done. Rather than beat your head against the wall. Now, I'm not saying it's not good to learn, but you also go to like Fiverr.com, pay someone $5 and be like, yo, man, just fix this for me. Done.
Yeah, somebody will figure it out.
You know what I mean?
I used to use Fiverr for like everything. Like shirt designs and stuff like that. What I've found lately, and with what you're saying, it's probably probably hasn't changed, but I used to use them for if I want to redesign my logo, or if I need to work done on my web page or something, because it's something I can do, but it just takes time. What I've found is all those guys just use AI now.
Huh.
So somebody, I had somebody working on my web page, and she's like, do you want me to redesign your logo? And I was like, well, I'm pretty attached to my logo, but if you come up with something really cool, or you think it's really marketable or something like that, I'd be interested. The things she sent me were so obviously like AI created. Like a lot of times, like it would be build dad build, and the last build would be BIILD or something like that. I'm like,
the text is messed up.
Yeah.
Now that's going to change, because in ChatGPT, the new ChatGPT drop, they've fixed a lot of those problems.
Well, see, but here's what I've discovered is like I don't need to pay somebody on Fiverr anymore.
Well, yeah,
I
you
just
cut out the
like
middleman for sure.
I just have ChatGPT do it, right?
Yes.
ChatGPT is my my cheapest employee ever, because I think I pay $10 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
She writes my emails. I say it writes my emails. It reminds me of stuff that I need to do. I've never been so dumbfounded. Just you start kind of asking it questions, and the next thing you know, you feel like you're talking to somebody.
Yeah.
It's nice that it's conversational. I have Firefly right now, and honestly, it's crap. Like it's not good. So I'm probably going to switch to ChatGPT for image generation.
I use ChatGPT every single day, and the thing that
I do too, but not for image generation.
At work and at home, for YouTube. But what I would say is that I create threads. If I'm going to say, hey, refine this email because I'm doing a pitch to AP Laser, and I'm going to go back and say, hey, define this email, and I'm going to do a pitch to Adam Stack. I only use that thread for those same type of emails.
Right.
And that thread, like It's phenomenal. Like I sent my boss an email one day and he says, man, he's like, dude, that was like really good.
That was solid.
Yeah. I was like, bro, that was ChatGPT. I'm like, did you see the little emojis in there and all that, like bolded here and there?
I would never do that.
He was like, are you serious? That's ChatGPT? I'm like, yeah, man. I got a thread just for refining work emails. Like I write it, I throw it in there, and it refines my emails.
Yeah, I just have this honesty thing, right? It's like it's kind of dishonest. So, I struggle with that a bit, but it is a time saver, right? It's definitely.
Well, I don't tell it to write it; I tell it to refine it. So
I know, yeah,
and then it just makes it. It's kind of like that. What's that app that everyone uses for grammar? That's a big thing too.
Grammarly. Yeah, I use Grammarly not because of grammar, because my typing is just so shitty.
Yeah, right.
And it's very good at fixing those sorts of things.
Yeah.
So I just
a question for you here.
Oh, sorry.
Mark says he's asking me. You did a video a while back on a laser tree upgrade. You seem to have good things to say. Yeah, I mean, I like laser trees, laser module. I mean, it's a laser module. It's not. They're all fundamentally the same. What I don't like about Laser Tree is they don't actually seem to want to pay me. So Laser Tree, if you're listening, I'm going to start bad-mouthing you pretty soon if you don't pay my bill. I mean, their laser modules are decent. Now, going from a 22 watt to a 60 watt, you might have some other issues. You might have issues around power. Now, the Laser Tree, they have the ability to run a separate power line for just the laser module itself. So you have to keep that in mind, because a 22 watt laser module is probably going to run on a 3 amp power supply, maybe power brick.
Yeah,
a 60 watt is probably going to use 10.
Just keep in mind too, going from a 22 watt to a 60 watt, it's like coloring with a coloring pencil versus one of those fat jumbo crayons, right?
Right.
I was going to say a chainsaw.
Yeah, no, but the beam is going to be much bigger. So
yeah,
there's plus and minuses to both. Like my longer, the D1, the 40 watt laser, that thing's amazing. And if I want to cut through, that is my go-to laser, right? But a 24 watt laser or a 20 watt laser do some really fine. And I'm not saying you can't step down a 40 watt, but why would you take a 40 watt to step it down to 20 watts? Then you shouldn't. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I will say this new, I guess I could promote this because I'm an affiliate, but the We Create 45, the new Vision Pro, the dot on that is so precise. It's 0.08 by 0.08. For a 45 watt laser, that is incredible.
Oh, and wow. 45 watt, really?
Extremely fine detail with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, file is a container file. It contains the STL, so you can export it. Well, there you go. Yes, and this is right. A 3MF is really an archive of some sort for.
Yeah, and again too, from Maker's World, when you go to download a file, usually there's a drop-down box. You can change it from 3MF to STL.
There you go. AGT.
What's up,
by
AGT?
The way, hello, there you go.
Start a museum. Yeah, well,
laser museum.
Nick showed us part of his laser museum earlier when he opened up a plastic bin full of laser modules.
It's in a box down there. So a Clack, man, the more you talk to it, the more it understands how you talk.
Yes.
And it will actually adapt to you.
Yes.
When I was coming up with the channel relaunch, I was feeding it all this information. This is what the channel's about. This is this, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, given the information you have, like I've given you, give me a 3-word mission statement. And it was like, burn, build, inspire. And I'm like, that is so on the friggin' nose. It's not even funny. And I would have never thought of that on my own. But it does, like, it it kind of reads how you talk to it, and it talks like what it talks back to you. Try it.
Yeah, that's the one thing I keep saying about the threads, though. Like, if you're just using the same thread for all these different things, you're kind of you're not refining the
100%.
Yeah. So Clack did say ChatGPT doesn't speak redneck. I can't use it. So.
Well, my wife's from Alabama, so I learned how to spec redneckies.
You want to read this one?
Yeah, Maker World created a mess with their emphasis on printer profiles because most users don't know how to properly slice the STLs, and I will agree with that. Just because you slice an STL and put it into your whatever printer, if you don't have a profile set up for that particular filament, you're not going to have ideal results.
So, Roger, do you want to step back from that and just kind of explain what that means to someone who actually literally doesn't know what that means? Like you're the person you're actually describing in the comments.
And we'll stick with PLA, just simple PLA filament. There's all kinds of manufacturers out there. So if you would buy, let's say you buy Techmare, which is one brand, then you buy, Bamboos. They're not, even though they're both PLA, maybe they're both white, they're not going to print exactly the same. You need to fool with it and you need to fiddle with it. That's one of the great things I like about Bamboo is they have profiles for not only their own filaments, but for a lot of the other makers, like, for example, Sunlu and Elegoo and some of the other major filament manufacturers. What you do want to stay away from is the Amazon Basics filament, because you don't know where the hell that came from, and it's different every time.
Yeah, it doesn't come from the same place. It doesn't come from the same place every time, right?
Yeah, it's, whoever they can get the cheapest price from to make filament. And I have messed with the Amazon Basics before. My biggest problem was consistency. It's supposed to be 1.75 millimeter diameter. Well, it is most of the time. It's just when it gets to be a little bit bigger, you got a clog. And if it gets to be a little bit smaller, you've got under extrusion. So, the consistency is not there, and I've just not been pleased with the Amazon Basics budget filament. If you want to go budget on your filament, and I'm not sponsored by Sunlu by any means, but they do a recycled filament. You can buy it for $10 a roll. And
versus what the normal roll costs.
Well, you can run anywhere from $15 to $30, depending on what you want to get. But if you're just doing something basic in like black and white, Sunlu's recycled filament is just fine. If you want to get any of the recycled colors, just be aware that, the whatever color green you got in this roll may not be exactly the same shade green you got in the next roll. But
right.
it's recycled, it's cheap, and if you're doing prototypes, and I use their recycled filament for prototypes all the time because it's cheap.
Yeah, makes sense. Tim Sam says, how about donating all your old lasers to schools for IA classes?
What are IA classes? Before
industrial arts.
Industrial arts. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually tried that with one of the school systems, and they're like, no, those are too dangerous.
Yeah. Schools tend to be a bit of a challenge, but there's Tim. There's lots of, like I said, I target places that they're really nonprofits, but they're designed for STEM type
right.
Growth, right? So
yeah,
those people are interested.
I donated a lot of my old diode lasers to maker spaces.
Yeah.
But I kind of got to the point where they didn't want anymore. Because
pretty quick.
Like having a 3D print farm is way different than having 25 diode lasers. You know what I mean? Like people can utilize the print farm a lot easier. So it was like I would donate them, and then I would be like, "Hey, man, I got more lasers," and they're like, "Hey, we're good, we're full up." So yeah, it does become a bit of an issue, and I had the same problem with schools too.
But we give them away on our lives, so if you don't have a laser yet, stick around because we give them away all the time.
Yeah, the thing with I like what Dick brought up there about a print farm. I have a print farm, and I could set up my printers and go to bed and come down the next morning and pull the stuff off of them. You sure as hell can't do that with lasers.
Yeah, you couldn't have 10 lasers running all night.
We see all the time. They'll go on Facebook and they'll bash a manufacturer, this piece of bleep, 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 and they'll show the whole thing burnt up. And we're like, dude, you can't set something to cut and just leave, like go to pick up groceries or something. Like
I'm very, so I work with a lot of fire and torches and things like that. So I'm very, very fire conscious. There's lots of ways to put out fires in my shop. And I've literally I've had like the X tool or something running. I'm in the shop. I turn my back and the laser head, like a magnet came off and the laser head caught the piece of material and I smell something burning and I turn around and my laser's on fire. And I'm like, I did all the things. Like I did all the right things and it still happens. Yeah. So the people that are like, oh yeah, well, I just, I put a baby monitor on there. I'm like, do you stare at the baby monitor the entire time? Because I've had stuff catch on fire when I'm standing on the other side of the shop.
Yeah,
and that's happened to me
there. The whole place would have burned down.
Yep. So we did actually one of our lives. We did a like wall of shame, right? Because when you're as a YouTuber, you're showing all these fine finished products. Like, look at this, right?
Right.
And we showed mess ups. Steve made a comment like, when I did this video, you didn't see on the floor, there was 50 of them thrown on the floor, And I did this one where my alignment thing in the background over here, you can't see, but I was cutting a 3/4 inch plywood and it was cutting it. And all of a sudden it looked like a sparkler because plywood has,
it's the filler.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally looked like a sparkler, just, and I must have done 12 before that one, but if I wasn't there, could have been a problem.
That's the hazards of hardware store plywood.
Yeah, that was the Home Depot special.
Yeah.
One of the things I harp on in all my laser videos is, if you're running a laser, you don't have to stand right there and stare at it. Be in the same room.
Oh yeah.
Don't go in another building. Don't go outside, and get in the pool for a while and then come back and try to take your project off. You're not going to be in the area.
Right. Although
people say, I want to have a camera on there, so I can watch it from my house. Well, if you're watching it from your house and you're not going to watch it constantly and something catches on fire, by the time you see that and get out there, it might be too late.
Yeah. Well, although you will catch yourself staring at your laser when you first get it. My wife's like, why are you staring at me? I don't know. It's cool.
It's mesmerizing, right?
I did try the whole baby monitor thing when I first started. Like, it wasn't that I was like, I wanted to go do something else, but I'm like, okay, like I want to go eat. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna set everything up, and at that point in time, like my shop was in the garage, and it was an attached garage. So if I was in the kitchen, I was a room away. The problem I had was that on my phone, while I was watching the baby monitor, I would go to sleep. And it would shut off. And so I was very diligent about turning that back on, the first dozen times. And then, one day I might have been watching TikTok and it shut off and nothing happened, but it could have, because I wasn't present. And like I said, I've had more things, like I've had things catch on fire when I did everything right.
Yep.
Like 100% everything I did was right. But you know what? Like the material, when it cut out, instead of laying flat, it buckled up a little bit and it stopped the laser head from going. And that laser head just sat there and burnt into whatever it was shooting on. Stuff like that.
So
Roger and I don't know.
Roger and I are both IBW brothers. The one thing that's kind of beat into our head is complacency, right, Roger?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Don't be complacent, because that's when accidents happen. That is like beat into our head.
Oh, 100%. That's how all accidents happen. As soon as you don't fear the table saw, you're gonna get bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of thing. Like every time I fire up a saw, somebody's like, you know, how do you stay careful around a table saw or a miter saw? I'm like, because anytime I turn that on, I'm horrified of it.
Yeah,
Like,
table saws especially,
it's
right there.
Fear.
Everything a table saw does is designed to throw crap back at you or chop your fingers off.
Oh yeah, you know, I even bought a saw stop, you know, just mostly because I was getting so much crap from viewers about being so dangerous because didn't have a riving knife, didn't have a guard, didn't have this, didn't have that. And, well, I needed a new saw anyway. Mine was 50 years old, so. Zantero here's he says he uses cameras with his lasers so he doesn't have to wear safety glasses to watch it. Well, that's true. And I'll put one of Rick's favorite pictures up here with me and my bug eye goggles.
Yeah. Hold on.
Yeah, we got to zoom in on this.
Yeah.
Of course, I've got them up above my glasses right now, but I do wear goggles when the laser is running on an open frame laser and I'm watching it. And there's just because you're not looking right at it doesn't mean that something isn't going to catch your eye, especially if you're engraving a mirror glass. You need to have them glasses on all the time.
Yeah, I tell you what, I wasn't so much scared of my table saw, but when I first did get my router table, I was a little intimidated by putting my fingers that close and making some stuff.
Yeah,
know?
Router tables terrify me too.
When I'm carving with a router, and my hands are like, because like if I'm carving a sign, my hands are on either side of that thing, and I'm like, you know, and you get the little window where you could stick your finger in and just lose it. But I'm always horrified. Like it's too close. It's too close to my fingers.
Yeah.
So I'm always like if you ever watch I do a weird thing where I wrap kind of my thumbs around the back of my hand because I'm worried that if I'm going like this and the window's down here, that I'll relax and put my fingers down. So I'm always like it's
So Daniel,
I like all my fingers.
Yeah, Daniel, the bearded Viking, and two other people there on YouTube. I can't remember their names at this point. They had made this 3/4-inch plywood Christmas tree. It started off at 12 inches and end at 1 inch, but every side was a 45-degree cut.
Yeah.
And I got to the 1 inch by 1 inch on 45 on all sides. That last cut was pretty sketchy, man.
Nope.
Yeah, I made two of them, and I was like,
That's when you count to. That's when you count to 10 and go, okay, that's enough of those.
Yeah.
I think the most intimidating tool I have is my joiner. I have a Grizzly joiner that I restored, and it works fine. But what makes it so intimidating for me is back when I was in junior high and taking wood shop, our wood shop teacher was showing us how not to use a joiner and cut his thumb off.
Oh, man.
Oh, like in front of you?
Right in front of the whole class.
What did he do? What was wrong?
He had his thumb on the back side of the material as he was running it through. So even though the guard was there, his thumb went into the joiner knives and it cut like 3/4 of his thumb off.
Don't do this. Whack, huh?
Yeah, and
well,
that was
mission accomplished. He showed you how not to use a joiner.
Yeah, so now anytime I'm using my joiner, I'm even more careful than I'm so aware of everything.
When I use my joiner, I always use the paddles.
Oh yeah, I do too. But everything, just super aware. And even with my table saw, now that I have a saw stop, it'll supposedly won't cut your hand. I'm not going to try it that way.
You want to drop
you put your fellow on
$5,000 or whatever on a new brake.
And here, Ventura, respect it because kickback just as deadly as brake strikes. And I've had kickback happen before. I've been using the table saw for over 50 years. I've had kickbacks. I've had stuff fly behind me and actually stick in the drywall on the wall behind me. So it happens.
I've had like little kickbacks. Just kind of like whack me in the stomach, and it's like it was nothing like brutal to write home about, but like the next day I got a big old welt.
Red mark. I've had those too. I've had those. Yep.
That's why I always learn to stand to the left of the blade.
Yep.
Always. Because I've had things fly out of there that shouldn't have. And at least it flies by me and doesn't into me.
Yeah, I shared. I said my humble shop on our Facebook group last week, and the one thing I built right away with my table saw is I built a table that was the size of a full sheet of plywood, so that made it a lot easier cutting on a table saw by myself because I could just push it.
Man, I've done some sketchy stuff trying to cut a whole like a full sheet of like 3/4 inch plywood by myself on my construction.
Everybody's done that.
That's what I'm saying. I did it a couple times and I built a damn table. I was like, it's like,
Yeah, I even for the saw stuff, I built an outfeed table for that. And what I did was I was looking around. We've had these plastic banquet tables that 6 foot wide, and I was looking at it, and that's damn near the right height. So I measured it, and it was 4 inches too low. So I bought some 4-inch casters and welded it to the legs. I have a portable outfeed table now, which also doubles as a portable assembly table. I can run it anywhere I want, and then when it's out of the way, I just fold it up.
As long as the wheels have brakes on them.
Yeah, they do. They have brakes on all 4 corners.
And I cut my piece, and it's rolling down the street.
Everything in my shop has wheels with brakes on them.
Yeah.
So Clack is this is other Steve. This is Ventari who has all the tools. I want to get a saw stop. Of course, now with tariffs, I gotta wait. But
I have everything. Most of my tools are all DeWalt.
Yeah.
I also have a DeWalt table saw.
I'm a Milwaukee guy for the most part.
So I'm not I'm more a battery family guy.
Yeah.
So in 2017, we lost our house in the Harvey hurricane. So when I bought new stuff, I ended up having quite a bit of like Porter cable stuff. Because when I went to Home Depot or wherever it was on sale. I could buy a bunch of it. And then like I had a bunch of batteries, right? So I try to stay in that same realm. I really like DeWalt. So I've picked up some DeWalt tools. But what I've noticed lately, because everybody's like, oh, the Milwaukee fanboys, blah, blah, blah. And lately, whenever I go to Home Depot, because, like, I want to stay in the same battery family, but I also like a good sale. And the last couple of times I've gone to buy power tools and just non-power tools at like Home Depot, the Milwaukee is cheaper than the other stuff. Like I bought like a Milwaukee box cutter that was cheaper than the Husky brand, like their brand box cutter. And so like, well, I just have I have more red in the shop now, and people are like, oh, like apparently you're making more money, you're buying Milwaukee. And I'm like, no, man, it's cheaper.
We talked about last week, Steve and I, we were saying that tools are not necessarily the expensive part of the purchase. It's the
it's the damn batteries.
Like this is a 60-volt flex battery. This is like $100, right?
Oh, 100%.
With me in the shop, because I started out with DeWalt, I'm on the DeWalt platform.
Right.
I got DeWalt all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But for our greenhouse side, we have electric trimmers and battery operated trimmers. It's all Milwaukee.
Right. So the thing is, if once you get to the point where you have enough batteries that you don't have to buy batteries, the tool's so cheap to buy it without a charger and a battery.
Right. Oh yeah.
But that's what the company wants, right? They want to hook you in. It's a great lock-in.
Well, there's a reason when you buy, like, if you were to go buy like a new DeWalt sander, like a cordless sander on Amazon, it's tool only. Like you can't find it. It's really hard to find it with the battery, right?
That's because of shipping, right? They don't want to ship those batteries. Yeah.
Well, they don't want to ship the battery, but they also are like, well, if I don't have a battery and this Milwaukee tool doesn't have a battery and Nick already has a DeWalt battery, what's he gonna buy?
Right.
And I mean it's a brilliant and very evil marketing plan.
Yeah, Zentrento
and
said
they're all
I
the
use
same.
the track saw for full sheets of plywood, and I've thought about it, but I just
I have a I guess what you would call a modified track saw. I have a Bora track, and I have the plate for it, and I've got a pawn shop Craftsman saw I use on it. It works just great. I don't need to spend $1,000 on a track saw system. This works perfect.
So Chenro, I bit the bullet and I bought a track saw, and there's not many tools out there that I would say changed my life. Track saw is one of them. Track saw is. I thought the hype was complete BS. I held off for the longest time. So good, so good. So I like the thing is the biggest thing with the track saw, if you guys are like if you're looking at a track saw, is setup, which is 90% of like any sort of build, right? Like it's usually the setup that takes longer than the actual thing. But if you set your track saw upright, you get everything clamped in and everything. It literally is like, and you're done. And it's beautiful. It's fantastic.
When I have to be dead nuts on something, honestly, like I'm pretty good with a circular saw, but I will normally take like a 6 foot or 8 foot level, and I just clamp it down and I measure 1.5 inches off because that's what my Milwaukee circular saw is. And that's kind of my track saw, but I get what you're saying. Like I'm measuring, and
that's because you're a good woodworker. I'm a horrible woodworker. So what I want is like, I don't want to measure 1.5 inches off, because what I found out, actually, this is kind of a side note, but I wasn't wearing glasses in the shop for a long time because I didn't think my vision was that bad. And so I would like get off here and there. But now that I realize that I do need to wear glasses, I'm like, I want to put it on the line and I want to do it. Like if I took a 2x4 and I measured a 1.5 inches here and 1.5 inches down there, I would probably screw it up. So give me the thing that goes straight down the line every time.
Yeah. ATH Woodcrat said, I run a DeWalt also, but just open the box on my saw stop to read the directions.
And I will say one thing about saw stop. With their manuals they have for not just for saw, but for every attachment you can put on it, it is an extreme detail. It's very well written. It's easy to understand. And I mean, even their hardware packages, everything's labeled, where everything goes. They did a fantastic job with it. Of that card that comes with their hardware, it's in colors and it matches what's in the manual, and it's great.
So Roger, once it actually uses the stop feature, it breaks the blade, right? Or how does it work?
It buries the blade into the brake. So I think you have to replace the brake and the blade, right?
Well, it depends if it damaged the blade, or it usually will, because you're burying, something running at 5,000 or 6,000 RPM, and you're suddenly stopping it into a bunch of aluminum. And you do need to replace the brake. And I haven't had to do that. And
it'll break the teeth
never
off
have.
the blade.
The thing is, like, I've had people it's hard for me to say this because I'm like, well, I just can't afford a saw stop. But honestly, I probably could. I just don't want to.
Yeah.
But the argument is, and I've heard 1,000 times, it's like, what price do you put on your fingers?
Honestly, it's low on my priority list. I have a lot better tools than I would need before. I'm like, I just want to get something safer. I'm just being honest, right?
Well, yeah, you're like, can I still jerk it?
Yeah,
fine,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So, like if I'm nubby, I still got
feel different. Yeah, it just feel different. That's all.
The other argument is, you're going to lay out, and mine costs about $6,000.
Yeah.
Which I got the rudder table and everything else on it, but you're going to spend $6,000 here or you're going to cut your finger off and spend $25,000 at the emergency room.
Right.
Yeah, but you got to remember, there's guys who don't have $6,000 worth of tools in their entire
Yeah,
workshop,
that's true.
and you're talking about a $6,000 saw.
Yeah.
You got to realize there's guys that don't have $6,000 worth of tools in a workshop and they only got 3 fingers, and they're still making cool shit.
Yeah.
The only advantage we have here is it wouldn't cost me $25,000 to sew the finger back on, but I still have to find it, and it's probably going to hurt.
Oh,
I have a DeWalt contractor type saw now, and
Me too.
it's fine because I don't cut anything big usually, but I want to get a saw stop just for
Well,
that
it's just-
reason, because I like to count to 10, right?
Yeah,
That's
Zentempo said parallel edge guides on the track saw make it much easier than a table saw. You can cut as many pieces you want and get the exact size.
That's true if you're cutting long pieces. If you're doing a lot of short pieces like we do when we build, 1,000 candy boards a year, we use table saw.
yeah, you get into weird things where 100%. Like somebody was asking me, and she builds, she does a lot of burntwood flags, right? So she's cutting a lot of these, in strips. And when she first said it, and when she first asked me, I was like, "Oh man," I'm like, "You should just dump the table saw and get a track saw." I can't imagine trying to do strip after strip after strip after strip with the track saw, because that would be a nightmare. You can't just set it and run a bunch of material through it. You would have to move that every time. So it depends on what you're doing with it too, right?
Yeah. ATX Woodcraft said the brake cartridge is about $100. It can be cheap in about 10 minutes, and the base and the blade is basically scrap metal.
Yeah, because it will either chip the teeth or warp it or bend it or something. And I do have a spare brake cartridge. When I bought the saw, I bought a spare one for both the blade set and for the dado set.
Yeah, so it looks like we hit time already. It's 8:30. Thank you all for joining the live. Today went great.
Woo!
Nick, thanks for joining us on the live. Maybe we can have you
100%.
join us another time.
Anytime you want me, just
Yeah.
let me know.
All right.
Give me enough time to show up and make sure my kids aren't doing something.
It was fun because, like you, I've watched probably 50 of your videos, and I was just always convinced you were either drunk or on crack or something. I don't know. It's just like you just have so much energy compared to me.
Yeah, Nick, I've watched a whole bunch of your videos too, and I really enjoyed them. So
Yeah, they're fun.
Thank you. I usually am drunk or on crack or both. Sometimes there's a dead hooker laying on the floor. You just can't see it.
Oh, well, okay.
No. The only thing I ever gave you crap about, Nick, is one time I said your nails are black. Yeah,
it's always been just a litmus test for people.
You were going through your goth era there.
I'm just a rock and roll guy, man.
Yeah,
it doesn't go any further than that. When people want to take it further than that, that's what gets weird,
Yeah.
If you see me with colored nails, that's because my daughter wanted to paint them. If I have black fingernails, it's because I was feeling extra rockery that day.
There you go.
Well, my great granddaughter painted the nails on my right hand with this clear sparkle stuff. I just let her do it just because she wanted to do something, and hell, I never got that cap off of there.
He did it himself. I did that one time, and I showed it to work, and you know what? Everybody just laughed, because we got called out, and just whatever, man.
Yeah, when you got to go to a business meeting and you have pink fingernails and
yeah, so funny. Well, yeah, thank you guys. Sorry, we're missing a member here, but he will join us next week. He's spending some time, and he's spending some time with his family, as we all should.
He's chasing bikini babes down in Florida on the beach.
Yeah, so we're not feeling sorry for him at all by any means.
Yeah. Clack says he's going to save up for the saw paws.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel your pain, Clack. It takes a lot of money to buy one of those things, but anyway, this was fun. We had a lot of YouTubers on tonight, which is good.
Yeah.
So
we'll have to bring them on. We had Clack on. We should get Ventari on some night.
Yeah. So if anyone's
should
here
get
in the
tripod
live,
on. You guys are like, well, you two are in the area.
anyone's joining the live and you're interested in jumping on the podcast for any time, just shoot us an email. Either one of us, any one of us, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't matter.
It's always good to get different perspectives.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. See you. God bless. See you on next week.
Yep. See
Great.
you all next week.
Thanks,
Take it
Nick.
easy, guys.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks for joining, Nick. Good time, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.